Hi, welcome to the Love and Science Weekly Energy Update for, March 19th to March 25th. So we're coming up on the end of March. This week's going to be very interesting where we had the Sun conjunct Neptune last week. This week we have Mercury conjunct Neptune and we have Aries season happening. Aries season. And it's so funny because as we go into Aries season and we get a little bit deeper into it, you're probably going to want to go back to Pisces season and go right back to sleep again. I am recording this on Thursday, happy St. Patrick's Day, during the full moon in Virgo. That's not actually happening until early Friday morning. But if you've been feeling a little bit off today, certainly like this morning, even myself, like I've been a little bit more edgy, I guess, but not as bad as I normally would be. So that's a plus. Hopefully you guys are doing well under this full moon. Also, before we get started with the energies, I wanted to talk with you guys really quick about something very important for me that's coming up. Because this is such a very rare cancer that I have, there aren't any treatments for it, period. There are treatments for it when it progresses after the fibrosis in my bone marrow becomes too much and it progresses to something more, but there's nothing to stop the fibrosis from progressing. There's quote unquote nothing to stop it. So all of the research that I've done in the places that I'm going to have to get treatment from will probably not be covered by insurance. Some of it's going to be covered by insurance, but there's a lot that won't be. So I am once again asking for the community support and assistance. If you can share my story, my GoFundMe will be below. So you can either share my story, you can donate if at all possible monetarily. You can share this video, anything you can do to, push things out so that people can hear my message. That would be really, really wonderful. And all of your good intentions sent this way for the paths to be open and answers to come and, answers to the questions that we have to come. That would be great as well. So all of that information is in the description box. Anything that is given or shared is absolutely appreciated. And thank you so much for being such a loving and supportive community. I'm extremely blessed. And also I have a really special Aries season energy update coming later on Friday afternoon. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be with my favorite Aries astrologer, Gracie Terrell with Dem Planets. She's on Twitter. She's on Instagram. She's a Pisces Mercury. So I love Pisces Mercuries because their words are just really, really beautiful. They'll beat themselves down, but they're very eloquent with their words, and she's hilarious. So yes, we're going to be talking about Aries season and the insane things that are going to be happening, what's going on in the world with Aries season, and how to kind of handle it on a personal level. So also stay tuned for that one on Friday, March 18th. So let's take a look at the energies. So we're going to go day to day so that you guys aren't bombarded by a whole bunch of information all at once. But once we get through all of the days, please feel free to take a screenshot of all of the information. So if you want to research it on your own or look it up on your own. And I do have just another really quick plug. I am doing an astrology school for the members of the channel. It's not going to be certified, but it will teach you how to read your own natal chart, and you can read the transits against your own natal chart, and then it'll probably evolve and stuff. That is sort of in the works. It's going to be starting in April, and that top tier is going to be $55 a month. So you'll get all of the membership perks, including the astrology stuff too. So if you would like to learn more about that, stay tuned for when you can sign up for that tier. It's not quite available yet, but it'll be available in April. All right. So Saturday, March 19th, we have the moon in Libra opposite Chiron, and Venus will square Uranus. Neptune will be sextile the north node and trine the south node until April 2nd. So remember that we're just coming off of the Virgo full moon on Friday. The moon was in Libra all day on Friday after that Virgo full moon. And so Saturday and Sunday are really going to be for relationships, and really looking a lot for relationships. And it's probably going to be kind of an emotional, it might be a little bit emotional, but there are going to be shifts and changes that are going to be happening. And that Virgo full moon showed you where you needed to be fully nurtured, and so if you're not being fully nurtured in the relationship that you're in, it's going to be showing you that this week. That's just kind of the reality of what that's going to be doing. But so then we also have Sunday, March 20th, the moon in Libra will square Pluto in the morning, and then will ingress to Scorpio. And the sun moves into Aries mid-morning as well at 11:33 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And so just the beginning of Aries season is going to be kind of a blast off with that moon in Scorpio. What's funny is that I think it's going to be a very understated beginning. I think that people are going to, because the information that's going to come out from Pisces season, or I don't even want to say information, the energy that's going to blossom out of after everything died basically in Pisces season. It's the house of death, and then again rebirth. But then all of that buriedness, right? And now we're just coming out in this big, massive, strong Aries season energy. So that's if you want to see all of the Aries season, that podcast that I did with Dem Planets, Gracie with Dem Planets, is hilarious. So I hope you guys really enjoy that. Monday, March 21st, the moon will be in Scorpio opposite Uranus, square Mars and Venus, and trine Mercury. So the funny thing is the Scorpio moons, I don't know if this is funny or not, but the Scorpio moons don't necessarily reveal how they're feeling very easily. A lot of times they'll hold it inside and hold it inside and hold it inside until it sort of just explodes outside of them. So this might be that kind of energy, especially with that Mars in Aquarius sextile Chiron and Mercury conjunct Jupiter. It's almost as if that they can know, it's like the pressure cooker energy, right? Like you can no longer hold it in. So we're going to talk really big about that Monday energy that's going on. And then Tuesday, March 22nd, we'll have the Scorpio moon trine Jupiter, trine Neptune, trine Mercury in Pisces. And then we'll have the moon square Saturn in Aquarius, and Mars will square Uranus. So Mars and Aquarius will square Uranus and Taurus. The bonfire begins, the wind starts to pick up, right? That's what that's going to be. It's like, yay, Aries season, let's start a bonfire. And Mars comes in and squares Uranus. And when you add fire and earth, Mars and then you add the air to it, that's Aquarius. It's just a whole bunch of stuff. A whole bunch of stuff is going to happen this week. It's going to be very, beginning of Aries season is not for the faint of heart. That's for sure. Wednesday, March 23rd, the moon in Sagittarius, which we all love, the charming, lovely, funny moon in Sagittarius. She'll be sextile Mars and Venus and square Jupiter. And then Mercury will be conjunct Neptune at the Pisces degree. So Mercury will be conjunct Neptune in Pisces at the Pisces degree of 23, the 23rd degree. So don't believe anything you hear, literally, don't believe anything you hear. And I would even say this whole week, really make sure that you have, and before we even get like this Virgo full moon, really make sure that you are grounded, really make sure that you are centered, really make sure that You know your truth and you're owning your truth. Whatever that truth is, it doesn't have to be my truth. It doesn't have to be other people's truths. Make sure that it is your truth. That's the only way that this energy is not going to trip you up. Mercury conjunct Neptune will bring a lot of false hope for some people. It'll bring probably a lot of, Neptune is an energy that takes away. So we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get there. But yeah, there's a lot of illusions that are going to be happening this week as well. We have Thursday, March 24th, the moon in Sagittarius will square Neptune and Mercury in Pisces. And then we have Friday, March 25th, the moon in Capricorn will square the sun in Chiron and then trine Uranus. So, yeah, it's a lot. I think what's really interesting, more so about all of this is what's happening on a bigger scale in the world right now. And again, you guys know that I am not a politics person, so I'm not here to talk about the beliefs of what anybody has for any given moment. But we have, you know, the way that the leaders of the world have groomed, have attempted, we'll use that word, have attempted to groom people for the last 2 years now, and will continue to do that, is so much more than I have ever seen in the 4 decades that I've been alive. And I know that there's always been like, there's always sort of that preparedness, that grooming, that like, you know, like preparing you for, oh, wait, we have another thing coming, or, oh, wait, we have another, like there's always got to be some kind of chaos going on in the world, because when there's chaos, the masses can be more controlled that way. Scientifically proven in so many horrible ways. That was scientifically proven. So remember that as we get into the charts this week and we start looking at some of these energies on a little bit deeper level, and recognize and understand that, you know, Chiron and Aries wants you to stand up for yourself. That's the warrior energy. And as we move into Aries season, we're going to see a lot of that, and it's not going to be in a passive way. Aries season is going to feel like it just flew by like that. Like everything's going to move really, really super fast. And then we're going to get into Taurus season, obviously at the end of Aries season, obviously at the end of going at the end of April, going into May. So and it will start, the energy will start to become a little bit more passive, but I don't even know if that's any better. I feel like the divine rage, which is what I'm calling this, the divine rage is really going to show this week. And I feel like that's a beautiful thing. I think that everybody needs to get in touch with how their anger that they're feeling. When anger becomes a bad thing, it's when we are projecting it onto other people that it doesn't belong to. Our anger does not belong to anybody but ourselves. Yes, you can be angry at certain people, but you have to learn how to process that. Because you can't, even if you're angry at somebody, you can't control what they're doing. Nobody can control what's happening in Russia and Ukraine right now from where I am. We can help. We can do everything that we can to help. We can have a platform. We can raise money. We can, you know, send things. I don't even know if we're able to send things over there at this point, but or send things to Poland, or, you know, wherever the refugees are. But that's the thing, is it's not about not having the anger. It's about not outwardly directing it, because nobody did anything, you know, those people have every reason to outwardly direct their anger somewhere too. You know what I mean? And some of us really do have, you know, want to do that in a lot of ways. And in doing that, you know, I'm not a violent person. I know that some people, and sometimes it isn't even violent when we have to stand up for ourselves. We can't even call it that. Like, that's not what it should be considered violent when we're standing up for ourselves. But anyway, So let's go ahead and look at the charts on a day-to-day. Let's see what we got. Make sure I have the correct chart up first for you guys. Man, this full moon, I have been all sorts of all over the place. So last time I made this too big and I feel like you guys couldn't see the chart. So hopefully you're able to see me and the chart this time. Okay, so we are starting with Saturday, March 19th. We have the moon in Libra, and this is like mid-morning. We've got this at 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time. So we have the moon in Libra opposing Chiron, early morning opposition to Chiron, and then Venus we have here and look, Venus is just sandwiched in between Saturn and Mars. Like she's literally being accosted by these two really, really powerful energies. So she is not happy right now. Venus is not going to be in a good mood until she gets to Pisces. And that's going to be happening next week, I believe. Oh, I think that happens next week. I'll have to look at my my notes. They're somewhere. But yeah, so Venus square Uranus. So a really cranky Venus is square Uranus in Taurus. And it's very interesting because Uranus in Taurus, even though it has helped with creating a lot of shifts in our lives, it's also shown us ways to relax into the changes. Like when everybody had to stop going to the office and start working from home, we got loungewear. We got like all day loungewear. That's such a Taurian thing. So, you know, I've really seen a lot of the positive aspects of Uranus. I mean, like Uranus isn't a bad dude. Like he's a pretty cool guy. He just wants you to do better. He wants you to change. He wants you to shift. And sometimes he's not sometimes, every time he's just going to do it out of the blue like that because he's tired of everybody always waiting for the right moment. It's always the right moment to make a change in your life. You may find yourself wanting to seek excitement in relationships. I would be very careful about doing that right now with the position that Venus is in, right here in between Mars and Saturn. You may be more interested in like a different type of person, just to be very careful that you're not getting yourself into a relationship just to feel something right now. Because a lot of, you know, with Pisces season, it's like if we don't want to feel what we're supposed to be feeling, we could easily distract ourselves into other things. You may realize that big changes are needed within your current relationships, and really watch yourself with making impulsive money moves during this time. Venus is not just about relationships. She's also about finances, and she's also about self-worth. So if there are things in your life that are restricting you from, especially since she feels so restricted right now in between these two massive power struggle people or planets, then it's time for you to like reassess the energy that you have around you for sure. So actually from the 18th yesterday, with the full moon until April 2nd. So Friday, the 18th to April 2nd, we'll have Neptune sextile North Node. And with the Neptune sextile the North Node and Neptune trine the South Node, there's going to be even more scammers coming out. And it's not even like just in the spiritual community. It's going to be all over the place. I've seen scammers of all sorts of types like coming out. Please be very discerning. Please be very diligent and make sure that you are also not passing judgment on any people. There's this sense of our own personal safety, security, stability, and self-worth that feels like it's being kind of taken away from us right now. And you may feel a little bit confused by that. And really what's actually happening is you're recognizing that once used to feel safe, stable, and secure no longer feels that way. And so now it's time to change, because even Neptune, we can even find really great things with Neptune. Like, I'm so tired of everybody just bitching about how bad the planets are to them when they're just trying to make it, have you make changes in your life to do better for yourself. It's not even making changes for the world or for anybody else. It's just about you doing better for yourself. Because when we do better for ourselves, that trickles out into the world. So I like to say. Sunday, the 20th, we will have the moon in Libra square Pluto in Capricorn. This is going to be scolding us to get to work. You may find yourself spring cleaning this weekend. I know I've been saying that, but this is really going to be a very perfect energy for that to happen, especially as the sun moves into Aries. Mid-morning ingress moon to Scorpio, and the sun will ingress to Aries at 11:33 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So there's going to be a lot of, I hate to use that classic fiery word for Aries that everybody uses, but really that's what it's going to be. It's going to be, I don't even know that it's going to be aggressive. I think that people are kind of, people are fed up, again, like there's just so many wrongs that have been done to the entire world for the last several years that I just feel like people are just kind of done. Like we're people don't want to do this anymore. And it's not even just the pandemic, it's so many other things too. So during Aries season, Venus and Mars will join Saturn in Aquarius, Jupiter will join Neptune in Pisces, and the sun will square Pluto. So be sure to really, pay attention to where you are not grounded, where you are not centered. I'll be talking about all of that Aries season energy with Gracie Dem Planets on the Aries season special as well. So make sure you check that out. I love a good sun in Aries, though. Aries ruling planet is Mars, and Aries being a cardinal fire sign creates a very self-starter personality. During this time, be careful not to feed the flames with too much fire. There's a lot of that air energy with Venus and Mars. It's going to feel a lot better when Venus is in Pisces. Aries are also known for their courage, tenacity, and generosity. Wow. This Virgo full moon that I am doing this video under is driving me insane. But we continue. Aries do like to be in charge, so you may find yourself also taking on new opportunities during this season that you wouldn't normally take on. And on Sunday, we also have Mercury, which is right here in Pisces, will be conjunct Jupiter, and that's going to be exact on Monday, but it will be like an all-day thing. There we go. Okay, so at 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Sunday, Mercury will be at 18 degrees with Jupiter. So we'll start feeling it even more, but just Mercury getting closer to that. And Mercury conjunct Jupiter is really going to be broadening a lot of our perspectives. Many people will start to insist that their beliefs are right. I love Mercury conjunct Jupiter because I have Mercury conjunct Jupiter in my chart. But if you guys can tell, my voice projects. Like, people can hear me without a microphone. And when I say things, people listen to what I'm saying because it's so much that there's a lot of authority that comes with it, right? But also a Mercury conjunct Jupiter person in their natal chart has learned a lot in their lifetime. Like, they have gathered all of the information. So if you have Mercury conjunct Jupiter anywhere, whether in any sign, like mine's in Leo, this is going to be in Pisces, but like babies that are born with this Mercury conjunct Jupiter in Pisces are probably going to be extremely creative. Writers, probably even like fantasy novels, movie, just because of that Pisces energy. it's going to be really exciting and super creative. It's going to be a really exciting and creative energy. Now, because we have the sun in Aries and the moon in Scorpio, that it depends on where you are focusing your energy, really. Because with that Mercury conjunct Jupiter and the sun in Aries and the moon in Scorpio, you could be very angry. Talking about the divine rage. And because you're very angry, you want to voice your anger. You want to stand up for what's right. That Venus square Uranus, we want what's best for people. Venus in Aquarius is not just about me personally. It's about the community and everybody. So there's this Mercury and Jupiter is helping us to see things in a bigger picture. Like there's a broader perspective that's happening. Some people are going to be like, no, I'm right. And I'm right. And I'm right. And I'm right. And I'm right. Believe me, I used to be that person, especially because mine was in Leo. I always thought I was right about everything. But I also started to question myself a lot about, am I really right? That's where you build that awareness. Am I really right when I say this? Breaking the ego down and building that awareness. The things that'll really help you with this energy, focus on tasks that need attention during this time and recognize that recognize what your distractions are so that you can remove these obstacles in order for you to focus. That's the other thing. A Mercury conjunct Jupiter energy is very scattered. And because it's in Pisces, the mutable sign, the watery mutable sign, there aren't any boundaries. So people are really going to be super loud about the things that they feel very passionate about during this time. And people aren't going to necessarily like that either on the other side. So just careful with who you're talking to or the conversations that you're getting in. I also think that we're going to be getting a lot of false information this week. We'll see if that actually happens, and I don't think that it's going to be on just one particular subject. They're really trying to keep us confused with all of the things that are happening these days. So that's why I want you centered and focused on your stuff and what you need to be doing, because the rest of the world is kind of losing it. So Monday, the 21st, early morning, we have that Mercury conjunct Jupiter exact. So that's like way early in the morning. I'm not going to go all the way back there, but so that is the Mercury conjunct Jupiter opinions, the big opinions, that'll be going over into Monday's energy as well. The moon is in Scorpio, opposing Uranus, square Mars, square Venus, trine Jupiter, trine Mercury. So all of these emotional discussions can create triggers and emotional changes or chaos, depending on how in touch with your own emotional maturity that you are. People are going to want to pick fights. People are just not really necessarily going to be on their best behavior at the beginning of this week. Mars is going to be sextile Chiron. This transit actually gives us the ability to take action on any kind of healing in a more mentally detached way. So Mars in Aquarius is that, fast, fixed. It's that, how do I want to put this? It's the kind of energy that can really get you motivated if you can stay focused. The struggle with Aquarius is staying focused. Like they want to have that fixed focus. They want to be detached from the things, but because we're already going to be in Aries season, the emotions are going to be really, really high. So, we want to be able to utilize that energy in a more contained sort of way, if you will. So really being able to take our action on our healing and mentally detaching from things is really going to help us with the emotional maturity part when we have that Scorpio moon, just like having all of these relationships with all of these planets and none of it is going, like all of this, like the moon in Scorpio, square opposite Uranus, square Mars, square Venus, trine Jupiter, trine Mercury. That's just mass chaos. Like that doesn't even mean anything. It's just like a whole bunch of words jumbled up together. And all you're going to be able to see is just like blue, 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 everybody like going everywhere. And so that's why it's, the Mars sextile Chiron is allowing us, that can give us the awareness. Chiron is trying to give us the awareness. Also, this can also be us taking action on ways where we feel like we've been wronged. So if you're the kind of person that's really bitter and resentful, you may be seeking out revenge this week. I hope you don't, but it's really, really possible that there are some people out there that thrive on taking revenge on other people. So if you don't release any of this built up tension that we have, you may find yourself misdirecting any of the anger at people or situations that don't deserve it. So pay close attention to where you are directing your own personal anger. And if other people are directing their anger onto you, you have all the permission in the world that I don't even have to give it to you. You can give it to yourself. You have the permission in the world to say, I'm not doing this with you. You don't get to yell at me like that. You don't get to scream at me like that. Or direct your anger at me like that. Tuesday, the 22nd, we have the moon in Scorpio square Saturn, trine Mercury, trine Neptune. You may find yourself wanting to stay to yourself because of the amount of tension. So this Scorpio moon being Aries season in the Scorpio moon, and the moon just went over the south node. Depending on where that Scorpio is in your chart, there are going to be things from the past that are coming up with that. Like the south node is transiting my second house right now. So there are going to be things about finances that probably come up for me. And because it's the moon in Scorpio, there's going to be an emotional attachment to it. And it's going to be a really deep, like there's something about this that you really have to pay attention to, a gut feeling, a gut instinct. The Scorpio moon is very, very psychic. It's a very psychic moon. So paying it, like trusting their intuition, like any Scorpio moons out there, if you trust your intuition, you never will have to ever question anything in your life. But because like in your childhood or something, you weren't taught to trust how you felt. You weren't taught to trust your emotions or believe in your emotions or anything like that. That was taken away from you somehow. As an adult, you probably don't trust yourself as much as you should, but your intuitive instincts are right on. So really tapping into that is going to be extremely helpful this week. So you may find yourself wanting to stay to yourself. Mars square Uranus. Mars square Uranus will be incredibly restless and impulsive. This transit will make you want to be free of all restraints, and you may rebel actively against any kind of restrictions. This transit shows that life has been an ongoing change and will continue to be. If you're waiting for a situation to change and it becomes intolerable, you will explode under this transit. You will and it won't even be that you're exploding. It's that if you're staying in a situation that is not tolerable to you anymore, you're going to create that massive tension within you, and that's going to change the situation. That's going to change the environment. It's not actually the universe doing it, or like whatever, you are a manifester as well. And so the more your emotions shift and the more you put that kind of frustration out into the world will answer. The world will listen and be like, all right, well, if you don't want that anymore, we'll take it away. Well, if you really didn't want that thing to go away, then maybe you should have looked at it in a more emotionally mature way to see if something could have come out of it. But this is that time where people quit their jobs impulsively because they're fed up. People quit relationships impulsively because things have built up and built up and built up and built up, and they haven't done anything about it. This is what I was talking about, where there's you have the bonfire and you start the bonfire, and then this big gust of wind blows and then takes out the entire neighborhood because you weren't watching. And that's where we have to make sure we have our focus. That's where we have to make sure we have that Aquarius, instead of the wind just taking it and blowing it, we have to have that focus. Any kind of accidents can happen if your ego battle is transmuted into destructiveness. So like this happens to me when I'm like running late, or, and it used to, because I don't really run late anymore because I just kind of show up in places at the times that I'm supposed to like show up, even if it's not the exact time I'm supposed to be there. But it's, yeah. So if you are somebody that like has to be somewhere at a certain time and you're running, like you woke up late and you're running late and you're really, really frustrated and traffic and like all of the things, and you're not paying attention to what you're doing, you could easily have accidents. Car accidents are a big thing that could happen right during this time. If you're aware of the changes and disruptions that are happening in your life, you'll probably be more apt to deal with new situations and new ways and better kind of controlled sort of ways. This is going to be definitely a week to work on your internal awareness. The more you become mindful and aware of your surroundings, of your energy, of what you're putting out into the universe, it's easier for you to see how other people are moving. It's easier for you to anticipate what somebody's going to do. Now, you may not always be right, but your energy is always going to direct you and send you in the directions that are good for you, if only we could just listen to them and quiet ourselves enough to listen to them, which is, I feel like, is my sort of my job in this life to help you guys do. You can easily really get lost in the anger and sadness of the world during this week, especially as we get to Wednesday, the 23rd. So let's pop over to Wednesday, the 23rd, where we have Mercury conjunct Neptune at 23 degrees. So Mercury conjunct Neptune in Pisces at the 23 degrees of Pisces. And the moon is going to be in Sagittarius, sextile Mars and Venus, and square Jupiter. This energy is going to show up in a couple of different ways for people. There's going to be a lot of delusion. There's going to be a lot of things that are being said that are not true. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's not true right now, but we don't actually find out about it for maybe another week. Maybe when Mercury goes into Aries, that's when all the things start to come out, and people actually start, speaking up and speaking their truths. But it'll be really difficult to have focus on any one thing during this time. So that's another reason why I want you guys to stay centered and grounded and mindful and aware. We don't say things like that just because we want everybody to disassociate. We want everybody to be so present within themselves that you're not getting lost in the chaos and the illusion, and you're not buying into the fear, and you're not buying into the ways that they're just trying to create all of this chaos that's going on. So it will be difficult to be able to focus. So being patient with yourself, practicing patience, practicing mindfulness. And we're all still going to be we're all a work in progress. I'm still a work in progress myself, obviously. The moon in Sagittarius will be sextile Mars and Venus and square Jupiter. So that creative flow is going to be nice. This can be a really great creative day if you can focus your energies on that. For a lot of people, you're going to just lose energy. Like you'll feel like sleeping. Like I said, like there's so much of that happened during Pisces season, just wanting to sleep. So then Thursday, we have the moon in Sagittarius will square Neptune at 23 degrees. So we have the moon over here, square Neptune at 23 degrees, and square Mercury. So that's going to be another really creative flow kind of day, but also with that, the illusions just even more. And it's because it's the moon is in Sagittarius. What's really funny is during the moon in Sagittarius, I feel like everybody will probably, more than anything, not be paying attention to what's going on. If you are paying attention to what's going on in the world, then wow, your focus on that is really, really hard. Friday, the 25th, moon in Capricorn. So the moon in Capricorn is going to be a third quarter moon. So this is going to be when we want to let go of any kind of negative patterns that will not serve you in the new beginnings that you're creating. So here we are with the moon in Capricorn. So this a third quarter moon is right before the new moon. And so we'll have the moon in Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, and then the Aries new moon happens on April 1st. So that's going to be next week energy, the moon in Aquarius, Pisces, and then in Aries. But the third quarter moon is not a time to start new things. The third quarter moon is a time to really look at what you have around you and be like, okay, what is it? What are like all these last little breadcrumbs? It's almost as if we're wrapping up some cycles and stuff before we get to that new moon. And the new moon is going to be really explosive as well. I know I keep using that word. I gotta find another word other than explosive, but there's a lot that's going to be happening with the new moon, and we'll talk about that. We talk about it a little bit also on that Aries season special as well. So the moon will also square the sun, and it will square Chiron, and will trine Uranus. So really focusing on the areas of your life that need to be cleared out, and it'll be apparent. Some people are going to disassociate this week and not really care that things need to be cleared out. Some people, it's going to be so apparent to them that they have to make things cleared out. And so, yeah, there's a lot of, it's time. You can no longer put yourself in situations where your soul doesn't feel joy or doesn't feel like it just doesn't feel right sitting with you. You can no longer put yourself in situations like that because it's just so loud. It's just so incredibly loud. And if you do keep putting yourself in situations where your soul isn't able to express itself and be free, to express itself, and that doesn't matter what that expression is. It doesn't have to be a happy expression. If you're not being honest with your anger expressions, if you're not being honest with your emotional expressions, it's very difficult to heal. We can't process things if we're not allowing ourselves, if we're not giving ourselves permission to feel the discomfort of it, to feel the anger of it. So whatever that truth is, whatever it is that your soul needs to come out with this week, I want you to allow that to happen. Just find healthy ways to express that for yourself. And that can be in any kind of journaling. If you need to get out and go see some friends, go take a small vacation. That's what Henry and I are going to do to kind of like just get away. It's like a staycation that we were gifted. And just to kind of like decompress. I feel like, as we go into Aries season, we have to learn how to decompress in healthy ways because we're just so toxic to each other right now. And it's really sad. And I don't like to see that anymore. So, it'll be interesting. We'll see how this week goes. I hope you all stay safe. I hope you're all doing well. Thanks for hanging out with me for another weekly energy update. And don't forget to check out the Aries season update. And I still have some appointments in March, and my April calendar is now open. So if you guys would like to get on the calendar with me, remember this is the last year you're going to be able to do it. And it may not even be a year. I may be taking that away much sooner. We'll see how things go. I love doing these readings. I love doing the personal reading. And they're only $75 right now, those 30-minute readings, live readings with me. And I just love doing them. So if you haven't had one with me, come meet me. I would love that. It's so fun. Especially I love doing new readings with people. So I love you. Have a wonderful week. Mwah. Bye.